From bustling Woolworths queues to quirky high street shops, 1970s Britain was full of charm, chaos and surprises. But some stores vanished so mysteriously, even loyal shoppers can hardly believe they're gone. Join us as we uncover the vanished shops that shaped childhoods and left lasting memories. Woolworths. Glass counters misted with breath, paper bags rustled, and the pick and mix glimmered like a rainbow you could hold. Woolworths wasn't just a shop, it was a weekly ritual. Families wandered through aisles of postcards, gadgets, and bargain records, while children pressed their noses to the glass torn between penny sweets or a tiny toy. Cafes offered simple toast and tea, giving parents a moment's pause before the next spree. Busy Saturdays meant crowded aisles and sticky floors, yet the charm endured. When the doors finally closed in 2009, towns felt quieter. Which was your Woolies? Sweets first or a gadget from the counter? British home stores, BHS. Step inside BHS in the 1970s, and the scent of polished floors mingled with fresh fabrics. Aisles brimmed with cozy homewares, crisp shirts, and practical yet stylish finds, pulling families into long afternoons of browsing and pattern spotting. Neighbours chatted over tea sets, children discovered their first gadgets, and the store quietly became a social hub. Busy Saturdays brought crowded lifts and long queues, yet its charm never faded. When BHS finally closed in 2016, high streets felt a little emptier. Did you dash to the homeware section first or head straight for the latest fashion? And if you thought you'd seen it all, the next vanished store holds a secret twist you won't expect. C&A. Walking into C&A in the 1970s felt like stepping into a kaleidoscope of colours and patterns. Bright polyester dresses shimmered under the lights. Rows of patterned shirts and smart school uniforms stretched endlessly, and the faint hum of sewing machines whispered from the back. Families picked outfits for the week, shared fashion tips, and children pressed their hands to the shiny fabric displays, imagining their new looks. Quirks like stiff polyester, oversized collars, and the occasional fashion faux pas added to the charm. When C&A left UK high streets in 2001, weekends lost a little sparkle. Did you dash for the polyester dresses first, or the school uniforms? And the next vanished store had a secret specialty even seasoned shoppers adored. Littlewoods! Before online shopping ruled our lives, Littlewoods opened a doorway to endless possibilities. Families circled toys, clothes and gadgets in glossy mail-order catalogues, while the physical stores brimmed with practical items, seasonal decorations, and the faint scent of fresh paper from catalogue displays. Children's eyes widened at every aisle, parents compared bargains, and weekends stretched into leisurely browsing adventures. Quirks made it unforgettable. Long queues, misplaced parcels, and the thrill of waiting weeks for your order to arrive. When Littlewoods closed its stores in 2005, high streets lost a little magic. Did you dash for the latest toy, or linger over the catalogues first? And the next vanished store had a secret twist few expected. Safeway. Step into a 1970s Safeway, and the scent of fresh bread and tinned goods greeted you, mingling with the low hum of neighbours catching up while shopping. Families compared prices, tested new products, and lingered over seasonal treats, turning weekly errands into a small ritual. The aisles held charm and quirks alike, squeaky trolleys, crowded lanes, and the occasional mix-up at checkout. But Safeway was more than a supermarket. Communities met, recipes were shared, and weeknight meals took shape here. It eventually rebranded as Morrison's in 2005, yet one quirky detail, the self-service salad bar, still surprises those who remember it. Which Safeway aisle did you always head for first? Richard's shops. Stepping into Richard's shops in the 1970s felt like entering a wardrobe wonderland. Rows of patterned dresses, blouses, and skirts stretched endlessly, while the soft hum of chatter filled the air as friends and family browsed together. Children picked school uniforms, parents hunted smart work outfits, and shoppers treated themselves to a special night out. Quirks made it unforgettable. Stiff collars, bright polyester, and the occasional ill-fitting dress that everyone secretly loved. When Richard's shops closed in 1999, high streets lost a little sparkle. Did you dash for the school uniforms first, or linger over the latest fashions? And one secret about the changing room still surprises anyone who remembers lining up there. BHS Food Store. In the 1970s, BHS wasn't just a department store. Its food hall was a world of its own. The scent of freshly baked bread mingled with neatly stacked tinned goods, while rows of sweets tempted children with tiny everyday joys. Shoppers lingered, comparing prices, swapping quick recipes, and letting kids plead for chocolate biscuits. Crowded aisles and sticky floors added to the quirks, yet the charm endured. The food hall closed long before the main chain shuttered in 2016. But one feature, the little grab-and-go dessert counter, still surprises those who remember it. Which treat did you dash for first? Chocolate biscuit or sticky bun? Beejam. Step into a 1970s Beejam and the chill of the freezers hit immediately, mingling with the clink of ice trays and the faint aroma of fish fingers. Families didn't just shop, they explored tubs of peas, ready-made pies, and novelty frozen treats that felt like tiny luxuries. Crowded aisles, frost-covered floors, and the occasional mystery item whose purpose no one remembered added to the quirks, yet the charm endured. Beejam offered a glimpse into Britain's fascination with convenience and frozen delights. When it was absorbed by Iceland in the 1980s, high streets lost a little frosty magic. Which frozen treat did you dash for first? Fish fingers or ice cream tub? All Days. In the 1970s and 80s, All Days wasn't just a convenience store. It was a small but vital part of everyday life. The jingling doorbell announced every visitor, while the scent of fresh bread and milk mingled with jars of brightly stacked sweets that captivated children. Families popped in for quick snacks or essentials. Neighbours exchanged greetings, and rushed errands often turned into short chats. Quirks made it memorable. Cramped aisles, mispriced items, and the tiny chaos at checkout. When All Days was rebranded as the Cooperative Food in 2002, local routines lost a little charm. Which treat did you dash for first? A penny sweet or a chocolate bar? Bay Trading Company. Step into a 1990s Bay Trading store, and racks of bold prints, quirky accessories, and bright fashions greeted you, promising individuality at every turn. Teenagers and young adults browsed eagerly, imagining outfits for nights out or weekend adventures, while the faint scent of perfume and new fabric filled the air. Quirks made it memorable. Slightly worn carpets, crowded fitting rooms, and over-enthusiastic sales assistants pushing the latest trends. Shopping here was more than practical. It was a small adventure where style, self-expression, and community collided. Bay Trading ceased operations in the early 2000s, yet one surprising detail in the fashion swap corner still lingers in memories. Which trend did you chase first? Printed shirts or neon accessories? Beals! Walking into Beals in the 1970s felt like stepping into a miniature world of possibility. Homewares, clothing, toys, and kitchen gadgets filled every aisle, promising discoveries for the whole family. Children pressed their noses to glass counters, parents compared patterns and prices, and the soft hum of conversation made shopping feel like a gentle celebration. Quirks added to the charm, crowded lifts, sticky floors, and the occasional mislaid item sparked little adventures along the way. When Beals finally closed its last store in 2025, a piece of high street nostalgia quietly vanished. Did you head straight for toys, homewares, or kitchen gadgets first? And one curious tradition inside still surprises anyone who remembers it. Alders. Step into Alders in the 1970s and you'd be surrounded by bustling aisles of clothing, homewares, and little treasures just waiting to be discovered. Families wandered from floor to floor, children tugging at parents' sleeves to see the latest toys, while the soft hum of chatter and the clink of coins filled the air. Shopping here was more than practical outdoor. It was a shared adventure, full of small delights and the weekend rituals. The charm was obvious, but so were the quirks. Crowded lifts, long queues at the counters, and displays that seemed to change by the minute. Alders closed in 2013, yet one quirky memory from the store still surprises those who remember wandering its floors. Barker's of Kensington. Step into Barker's of Kensington in the 1970s, and elegance greeted you at every turn, polished floors, neatly arranged displays, and an unmistakable air of sophistication. Families and fashion-conscious shoppers roamed through floors of finely tailored clothing, luxury homewares, and exclusive accessories, each promising a taste of refinement. It looked practical, but in reality, it was much more, a quiet meeting point for style, aspiration, and small indulgences. Quirks made it memorable. Attentive staff, slightly intimidating fitting rooms, and hushed conversations about the latest trends. Barker's was acquired by BHS in 2006, Yet one hidden feature of this high-end store still surprises those who remember its flaws. Bins! Step into Bins in the 1970s, and the warm buzz of a northeast high street surrounded you. Polished floors and bustling aisles drew families through clothing, homewares, and little treats that turned shopping into a weekend adventure. Children pressed their faces to glass displays, parents debated patterns, and neighbours exchanged greetings over baskets brimming with small treasures. Practical at first glance, it was really much more, a hub where errands became shared experiences full of laughter, chatter, and occasional chaos. Crowded lifts, long queues, and the occasional misplaced item added to the quirks. Bins was absorbed by House of Fraser, yet one curious tradition from its stores still surprises anyone who remembers them: Bobby & Company. Walking into Bobby & Company in the 1970s felt like stepping into a small fashion wonderland. Polished floors reflected racks of patterned dresses, smart shirts, and quirky accessories, inviting families and young shoppers to explore. Children pressed against glass displays, parents picked outfits for school, work, or weekend treats, and staff greeted regulars by name. Quirks added charm, crowded changing rooms, slightly stiff fabrics, and displays that seemed to multiply overnight. Practical at first glance, it was really much more, a place where style, personality, and community collided. Bobby & Company closed in the early 2000s, yet one surprising feature of its stores still lingers in memory. Which item did you dash for first? Dress or accessory? Bonds of Norwich. Step into Bonds of Norwich in the 1970s, and aisles brimmed with clothing, homewares, and little luxuries that made shopping feel special. Families wandered together, children pressed their noses to glass counters, and parents compared fabrics and patterns with care. Practical at first glance, it was really much more. A place where errands turned into small adventures, and weekly shopping became a shared experience. Quirks made it memorable: crowded lifts, slightly squeaky floors, and the occasional long queue at checkout. Bonds of Norwich ceased trading in the 1980s, yet one small feature of the store still surprises those who remember its bustling aisles. Which section did you dash for first? Clothes or homeware? Brits step into Brits in the 1970s, and the West Country High Street buzzed with families browsing clothing, homewares, and little treasures. Children pressed their noses to glass counters, parents debated patterns, and neighbours exchanged quick greetings over baskets full of finds. Practical at first glance, it was really much more, a hub where everyday errands became small adventures, laughter echoed through the aisles, and shopping felt like a shared experience. Quirks made it memorable: crowded lifts, long queues at the tills, and displays that seemed to shift overnight. Brits was eventually absorbed by House of Fraser, yet shoppers still recall the quirky corner where seasonal displays always stole the show. British home stores, BHS. Step inside BHS in the 1970s, and the scent of polished floors mingled with fresh fabrics. Aisles brimmed with cozy homewares, crisp shirts, and practical yet stylish finds, pulling families into long afternoons of browsing and pattern spotting. Neighbours chatted over tea sets, children discovered their first gadgets, and the store quietly became a social hub. Busy Saturdays brought crowded lifts and long queues, yet its charm never faded. When BHS finally closed in 2016, high streets felt a little emptier. Did you dash to the homeware section first, or head straight for the latest fashion? And if you thought you'd seen it all, the next vanished store holds a secret twist you won't expect. Brown Muff step into Brown Muff in the 1960s, and the gentle hum of a bustling department store surrounded you. Families wandered through aisles filled with clothing, homewares, and seasonal treats, while children pressed their noses to glass counters, eyes wide with anticipation. Practical at first glance, it was really much more, a place where errands became little adventures, laughter echoed through the aisles, and shopping felt like a shared experience. Quirks made it memorable: crowded lifts, squeaky floors, and the occasional flustered shopper searching for a missing item. Brown Muff ceased trading in the 1960s, yet many still recall the corner where novelty toys always sparked the most excitement. Kaylee's! Step into Kaylee's in the 1970s, and the air buzzed with excitement as families explored aisles of clothing, homewares, and seasonal treats. Children pressed their noses to glass counters, marvelling at toys and sweets, while parents debated fabrics, patterns, and bargains. Practical at first glance, it was really much more, a hub where shopping became a shared adventure. Small discoveries sparked delight, and neighbourhood chatter filled the aisles. Quirks made it memorable: crowded lifts, squeaky floors, and the occasional long queue at checkout. Kaylee's was eventually absorbed by House of Fraser, yet shoppers still remember the tiny in-store cafe that served as a secret weekend treat, Cheeseman's. Step into Cheeseman's in the 1970s and the high street buzzed with families exploring aisles of clothing, homewares, and small delights. Children pressed their noses to glass counters, dreaming of toys and sweets, while parents debated patterns, fabrics, and bargains. Practical at first glance, it was really much more. A place where shopping became an adventure, laughter echoed through the aisles, and small discoveries turned errands into cherished memories. Quirks made it memorable: crowded lifts, squeaky floors, and the occasional mix-up at checkout. Cheeseman's closed in the 1970s, yet shoppers still fondly recall the corner where seasonal displays always felt like a little festival. Civil Service Supply Association. Step into the Civil Service Supply Association in the 1970s, and neatly stacked shelves welcomed shoppers with office supplies, clothing, and household essentials. Families and workers browsed together, comparing fabrics, stationery, and small household gadgets, while children pressed their noses to glass counters, curious about every little item. Practical at first glance, it was really much more. A hub where shopping became a shared experience and everyday errands turned into little adventures. Quirks added charm: crowded aisles, long queues at the tills, and the occasional mix-up with orders. The association ceased operations in the 1980s, yet many still remember the tiny stationery corner that sparked quiet fascination week after week. Cooperative Building, Barrow-in-Furness. Step into the Cooperative Building in Barrow-in-Furness during the 1970s, and the high street hummed with life. Families wandered through aisles of groceries, clothing, and homewares, while children pressed their noses to glass displays, imagining treats and toys waiting for them. Practical at first glance, it was really much more. A place where shopping became a shared adventure, laughter echoed through the aisles, and small discoveries turned errands into cherished memories. Quirks added charm: crowded lifts, squeaky floors, and the occasional long queue at checkout. The store closed in the 1970s, yet shoppers still recall the little corner where seasonal window displays always drew a crowd. The Cooperative Group. Step into a cooperative store in the 1970s, and the aisles buzzed with families browsing groceries, clothing, and household essentials. Children pressed their noses to glass counters, marveling at sweets and small toys, while parents compared prices and debated the best deals. Practical at first glance, it was really much more. A hub where shopping became a shared experience. Conversations flowed between neighbours, and everyday errands turned into little adventures. Quirks made it memorable: crowded aisles, squeaky floors, and the occasional misplaced item. The Cooperative Group underwent significant restructuring over the years, yet many shoppers still recall the bright dividend posters that made every visit feel a little rewarding. Cooperative Retail Services. Step into a Cooperative Retail Services store in the 1970s, and bustling aisles of groceries, clothing, and everyday essentials greeted shoppers. Families wandered together, children pressed their noses to glass counters filled with sweets and small toys, while parents debated bargains and compared products. Practical at first glance, it was really much more. A place where shopping became a shared adventure. Neighbours exchanged greetings, and small discoveries turned errands into cherished memories. Quirks made it memorable: crowded aisles, squeaky floors, and the occasional mix-up at checkout. The chain later merged into the Cooperative Group, yet many still recall the tiny in-store bakery corner that smelled irresistible on weekends. Walter Cobb. Imagine stepping into Walter Cobb in the 1970s. The air filled with chatter, the scent of polished floors, and the quiet rustle of shopping bags. Families moved slowly through aisles stacked with clothing, homewares, and little treats, while children pressed their noses to glass counters, eyes wide with wonder. Practical at first glance, it was really much more. A place where ordinary errands became shared adventures, laughter echoed between floors, and small discoveries felt like treasures. Quirks made it memorable: crowded lifts, squeaky floors, and the occasional misplaced item. Walter Cobb closed in the 1980s, yet many still remember the little corner where seasonal displays always sparked delight. From Woolworths to Walter Cobb, these shops built memories that outlived their doors. Which vanished store takes you straight back to your childhood? Share your memories in the comments, subscribe, and don't miss out. Click here for our countdown of Britain's vanished school dinners, where you'll discover the meals that still divide opinion today.